questions to ask throughout a campaign with the confidence rising. I told JC, Nate and Rich that good times are coming, no need for deep diving. Van Cam's reactions, watch alongs to the pride of London thriving. The Eagles of South stay flying, keep your eyes on us, we ain't hiding.
How we doing, lovely people? Welcome back to Eagle-Eyed Football. Today we have got a little bit something different for you. Obviously, you'd know the man just to the side of me there. He's bit of a stats geek, and obviously he's here to give us a bit of a tactical breakdown on our opponents tomorrow afternoon, Aston Villa. It's the one and only Statman Dan. He's back after a long hiatus. He was in Brazil. We weren't sure how we were going to get the release forms to get him out of Brazil to get him back to England. Then he got kidnapped up in Scotland, so it's been a bit mad. But the important thing is Statman Dan is back on Eagle-Eyed Football. Dan, my bro, how you doing? You good?
Yeah, I'm all good, thank you. All good. Looking forward to smashing the Villa tomorrow. How about you?
Mate, I'm just looking forward to getting on that plane tomorrow morning and just going to the game, because it's been a minute since I've been back at Selhurst Park. I need to go back to SE25 and make my pilgrimage back to, back to the homestead. But we're here to talk about Aston Villa and a tactical breakdown of what we can expect from Steven Gerrard's Aston Villa ahead of tomorrow's game at 3:00. Let's see. Let's start with Villa's form this season, Dan, because they've won one and lost one. Lost to Bournemouth on the opening day and beat Everton in the second week. What have you made of Villa so far?
So I watched both games back. So I watched the full 90 on both games over the last few days, just because I'm a bit sad like that. To be honest, I thought the first game they were very disappointing, considering the names that they've got. And considering I think there was an optimism when Gerrard came in, I don't think they're really going at the pace that perhaps people want to. And obviously Bournemouth won that game, a newly promoted side. As an established mid-table Premier League club, you really should be winning that game. And both goals came from set pieces. Again, another poor aspect. And then obviously they went to Everton. They beat Everton, but I mean, having watched the game, I think Everton are going to be near the relegation zone again. So again, yes, they won the game and whatever, but they haven't really faced a particularly difficult opposition yet. And so in that sense, they are a bit of an unknown quantity. But what they've done so far, I think Villa fans would be disappointed so far.
100%. Obviously, we're coming off the back of a defeat and a draw. 2-0 defeat to Arsenal, 1-1 draw away at Anfield. We'll talk about your thoughts on the Liverpool game close to the end of the show, my friend. But let's start with the head-to-head record between ourselves and Villa. The last 6 games at home to Villa. Obviously, we beat them the season before last, with Tyreek Mitchell scoring a winner. Then John McGinn and I think Ollie Watkins scored against us last season because we lost. They were the first team to beat us at home, actually, last season.
Yeah.
Which, from what I remember, we thoroughly deserved to lose. We were awful that day, from what I recall. But this one at home, it's never really... You don't really see a battering. Like, it's usually 1-0, 2-1. It's always the odd goal here and there where you're thinking... Okay, you're never going to see a one-sided game in this fixture, from what I recall in the Premier League era, as far as I recall. Maybe back when they were contending for Europe in like 2004 and stuff like that. But since we've been back in the Prem in 2013, they've never really been a team that you're like, oh God, we're going to get slapped here.
Yeah, no, definitely not. And I think from memory, I think the head-to-heads is always a bit of a weird one, because I think Villa have got a better record against us at our place than we've got a better record against them at their place. So it's one of those weird ones where it's kind of like the other way around. And also, I think last season, when we did play them last season at home, for me, I don't know if you agree, Nate, but for me, I thought that was our worst performance of the season against Villa, or definitely thereabouts, at least anyway.
I mean, I'd say it was up there for one of our worst at home. It's up there with Newcastle at home. It's up there with arguably Brighton at home, because obviously a last-minute equalizer against them is never going to be a good result. But, I mean, I knew the unbeaten run was going to come to an end at one point.
Oh, yeah.
So, I wasn't remotely shocked that happened. So, it's one of them where it's just, to be fair, it's hard to call because, like I said, this game is never decided by a 4-0 or a 3-0. I think there was one anomaly where we lost 3-0 on Boxing Day and they had a man sent off. So it's rare that there's a gap between one team and the other. But that was Roy Hodgson settings, so we don't really want to we don't really want to go back there. But that was the way we were back then.
Yeah, and I think last season, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe last season was when I think that was Gerrard's first game.
It was indeed, yeah. The UK Pat, you're pushing your luck, young man. You know that. I'll allow you. Sean was waiting over an hour. Mate, just blame me. It was my fault, but we're here now. That's the main thing. The chairman says they would beat Everton, but they were very lucky.
Yeah, I agree. They weren't great against Everton, and Everton were terrible.
Stevie G is getting found out. Wasn't last season Gerrard's first game was against us? Yep, it was. Target scored last home match last season, and by the way, we lost 1-0. Okay, I could have sworn we.
It was 2-1. I thought didn't.
Yeah, I saw John McGinn scored. John McGinn scored. I remember John McGinn scored in that game. Okay, but we move. Obviously, Rich is saying, evening all. Big up to the one and only, the big boss. Sean says they have the manager bounce, so that's the reason why they beat us. Yeah, I mean, Newcastle did it, Man United did it, Villa did it. It was getting annoying at one point. It was like, yo, can people just stop sacking the managers before we start playing them, please? Don't sack your manager until after you play us, please. It's getting a bit annoying. Big up Jay, where you sitting tomorrow night? Arthur wait stand. I'll be in the Arthur for the Villa game. We're the Arthur over here. We scored a very late goal. Yeah, I knew we scored a consolation goal.
Yeah, that was it.
But let's quickly chop this up, Dan, because I don't want to be on this too long. I do have to go to bed very soon to get up very early in the morning. So let's start with Palace's formation and the predicted 11. So obviously, last game we set up with 5 at the back, nowhere near what we're accustomed to because we don't really attribute Patrick Vieira to playing a defensive brand of football. But with the circumstances, with the quality of the opposition, it made sense. But obviously, seeing Joe Ward as a centre-back, we were like, Chris Richards, did we not sign him to play centre-back? But credit to Wardy, he was faultless. I don't recall him making a mistake. So
no, I think he played very well there.
So, I mean, if you're Patrick Vieira, right, you've just come away from Anfield with a point.
Right.
Could have won it, could have lost it. With Villa, are you saying go back to what we know in 4-3-3 and maybe make a few tweaks where you could put maybe Zaha up top, Edouard left, and Ayew right? Or do you say keep Edouard in the middle, Zaha left, Ayew right, and try and find a way to play Eze in the 10 and hope to God that Hughes and Schlupp and Doucouré can play in midfield? Because obviously what I've seen of Doucouré so far, and Dan, you can chime in here, I love what I'm seeing, but I don't want to overhype the kid too much. I want to give him time to bed into the team first. But what I'm seeing so far, he is levels clear of Kouyaté. Kouyaté did a great job for us, don't get me wrong. Quality player. But Kouyaté was coming to the end of his career. So we needed somebody that could give us that longevity. And I think Doucouré offers us that.
Yeah, for sure. And also I think Doucouré, like Kouyaté, he was very much like, I've got the ball. I'll give it back to Anderson and Gay, who are much better at passing than me. Whereas I think Doucouré is not really. I mean, he can do that, but I think he's also more than capable of turning around, beating a man, and then laying off a nice pass. I mean, last week he did a lovely pass to Zaha for him to hit the post. So, he's more than capable of doing well. He's like Kouyate, but he's got extra. He goes forward, he progresses the ball. I mean, he was one of the best progressors in Europe, I think, last season. So I think that says it all from him, really.
Yeah, and it's looking like money well spent again. And obviously, Dougie Freedman, apparently he doesn't know what he's doing. He's a rubbish sporting director. I looked at some of the signings he's made. We spent less on Eze, Anderson, Elise, Gurhey than Wolves spent on Morgan Gibbs-White. It's mad.
Yeah,
it's mad when you think about it. You're thinking,
it's insane.
So it's one of them. So Jay's saying, would you start Malcolm Abiwe over Ayew for this game? If it were me, I would try and play a bit risky and maybe make one or two chin check changes to catch people off guard. But that could backfire horribly because Malcolm Abiwe hasn't got an awful lot of Premier League experience. Playing in the Championship is one thing, but moving that to the Premier League is a different kettle of fish. Would you agree with that, Dan, or do you think it's a smart call by Jay to say Malcolm Abiwe?
I think Abiwe. I watched the video, so I know how to pronounce his name now. Abiwe is.
Oh, don't be that guy, Dan.
I think he's a very good player, but like you say, he's very raw. Would you necessarily chuck him into a game where, obviously the first two games of the season, they were very tough. This is the first game of the season where every Palace fan is like, we should be getting points from this. I know we got a point last week, but this is the first game every Palace fan's probably like, okay, we should be getting points here. Do you want to throw a young kid who's just come here straight into it? It's one of those. It's a high risk thing. It could pay off dividends, but at the same time, it could not. Do you know what I mean? It's a high risk.
Yeah, but at the same time, you could argue it's sink or swim. If you can survive playing Villa at home in the cauldron of Selhurst Park, where, let's be fair, he's got the backing of the home crowd behind him, so we're not expecting him to hit the ground running and be amazing. We just want to see him on the pitch doing what we've seen him do in pre-season. Bear in mind, he sent Fred for 4 hot dogs. I'm looking at that going, that's shades of Wilf when he was just about to come through.
That is true.
This is a bit mad because we're not accustomed to having players that have flair and ability to just rip midfielders and defenders apart. We're used to having functional players in functional positions. Hence, Van Aanholt, Townsend, who else? Martin Kelly, Kouyate. None of these players were standout amazing, but they did their job well, and that's what we needed them to do. Townsend by no means was terrible, but you wouldn't put Townsend in the bracket of skillful, silky, He had a hell of a shot on him, and he had a hell of a free kick in him.
True. I think because I guess we'll get onto it when we talk about Villa's threats and their formation, but I think for this particular game, I think we need a bit more. The thing is, I don't know what his defensive. I don't know how much he'll track back. I don't know what he's like pressing and stuff like that. And I think that might be an element that we might need against Villa.
So if you're Patrick Vieira, what is your starting 11? Who would you pick if you were picking the team for tomorrow?
So if it was me, I would go. I would go back 4. The reason why I go back 4 is just because the back 5, I don't think is really necessary against Villa. I think we did that against Liverpool because they are one of the best attacking teams in the world. I think we'll be the standard back 4. Your left back Mitchell, Gay, Anderson, and Natty Klein as well. I would go for the midfield 3 again. Now, the thing is, would I go for Schlupp to begin with? I think I probably would go Schlupp just because he has played the last 2 games. Although I love Will Hughes. especially after his video the other day as well. Will Hughes is I'm a big fan. I'd have Decore then behind him. That's no debate for that. Eze in like the 8 role, and then up front, what I would have is Zaha on the left. I'd actually have Edwards up front, and I would have, this might be really controversial, and I might get a bit slagged off for this, but I would actually have Jordan Ayew on the right, and there's a reason for that, because of Villa's threat down there. And what I'd ideally like to see in that is I'd like to see Edwards and Zaha swapping and changing. And again, there's a reason why I think that. Like, for example, the reason why I would have Ayew on the right hand side is because down the left hand side, I think Villa are quite good. Whereas on their left hand side, they're quite good. On their right hand side, I think they're quite slack. And I think that's an area that we could really exploit and really target, especially with Zaha and Edward swapping around each other. I think them swapping and being able to, like, let's be honest, both of them can play left wing and striker. So I think them swapping over from each other is just going to cause more chaos for Villa, who I think are very vulnerable in defence in certain places. And yeah, so that would be my 11 if I was doing it. I can see the arguments for having Elise on the right. I totally get it, because whilst Villa are good down the left, attacking defensively they're poor. So I can see the argument for Elise, but I do think I would go for Ayew just because I think he offers a bit more help to Nathaniel Klein.
Yeah, defensively, Ayew would be a good shout. Obviously, he wins fouls in the final third and in our own third as well. So I see that. So I had to run out quickly to guess on this. So did you go with pretty much the same team that played Liverpool, bar playing 4 at the back as opposed to 5 at the back?
Yeah, and then rather than Ward, I can't remember who played against Liverpool, but yeah, the midfield 3 are Schlupp, Decore, Eze, and then the same front, and then the front 3 actually is a similar formation to what the first game of the season.
Okay.
Basically that one. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, the Arsenal game. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
So let's move on to Aston Villa because we touched on it earlier. They've had arguably a better start than us because they did beat Everton last weekend, where they lost to Bournemouth. But I think they're gettable. I think we can get at them.
100%.
Like from what we've heard, I don't know how true it is, but apparently Matty Cash is injured. That's a big blow for Villa if that's true. Coutinho apparently is also injured, but I don't think he's going to be as prominent a figure as you would expect him to be. Obviously, they lost the young lad Carlos, wasn't it, to the same injury that Ed's got, the Achilles injury. So I don't want to sound cocky because you don't want to tempt fate and we get snotted 5-0. But we've got to be looking at this game and absolutely going full on to get the win, even if it means riding out the first 30 to 35 minutes of unwavering Villa pressure. Just close the game out, last minute, absolute brick S-house settings with a not Benteke, sorry, he's gone, but Mateta header, Edward, Guaita, I don't care who somebody put it in the back of their net, get a last minute winner, and we're all laughing from 3 points because it's important now to get points in games like this because we've got Man City after this. We know how hard that game is going to be. Despite our good record up there, let's not kid ourselves.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, no, definitely. And I think this is I think this game is the first one. I think every Palace fan's like, yeah, we're going to get points in this one.
Oh, Sean, you never stop to make me laugh.
Love it.
We've got Dan. Villa would pass us 3 points. and we have to see them as 3 points on the line. So
100%.
we need to, like, obviously last season, new manager bounce caught us completely flat-footed, and they rightfully took the 3 points because we were poor that day. I can't even front and say we were unlucky. We were poor. We didn't deserve anything. Now we have to put those kind of games to bed. That's what killed us last season. We were not winning the games we should be winning, and the games we were winning, we looked okay in most of them. Awful in a fair few of them, and somewhat fortunate in others. But I'd be backing us to beat Villa tomorrow if we turn up and do our job. But that's only if, not necessarily is it guaranteed. But what do you think we can expect from Aston Villa? Sorry, let me just get rid of here.
So I think so they've played 2 formations so far this season. They've played one away at Bournemouth, which is the one I think they'll play tomorrow, and they also have another one that they have at home. So the one they have at home, just to brush over it quickly, is 4 at the back. They're 3 central midfielders, kind of similar to how we used to set up when we had last season, when we had Gallagher, Koyate, and MacArthur. So it was like one kind of like sat in the middle, the other 2 would help out on the wings, basically. And then their other home one, they'd have someone in the hole, which is usually Coutinho, and then up front they have 2 strikers up front. The one which I think they'll be playing tomorrow, I think they'll be playing a 4-3-3. So that's the one they played against Bournemouth. And the reason why I think they're playing is because I think that's probably their away formation. The so you said Cash and Coutinho are out. So in that case, I don't know who will be playing at right back for them. I don't know, they've got Callum Chambers knocking around, so I'm guessing maybe Callum Chambers on the right, Konsa in the middle, Mings, and then left back would be Digne. In the middle, I suspect, so in the middle they have Boubacar Kamara, who has played well this season. On the right, they'll have John McGinn. On the left,
goal against us.
Yeah, exactly. And then on the left, there would be probably Jacob Ramsey, who I think is a good player. And then up front, you'll have in the middle. So it kind of varies. He might chop and change it, but it could be in the middle, could be Ings, could be Ollie Watkins. On the left, we could see, if Coutinho's out, it'll be Buendia. And on the right, I'm not sure, maybe he'd play Ollie Watkins there and Ings in the middle.
Just going to comment on some comments here. So we're playing 2 games whenever we play against big teams. We should be beating teams like Aston Villa or Austin Villa, as he's written here. Austin Powers Villa or something like that.
Aston Villa, if they move to Texas.
Yeah. Stone Cold Steve Austin Villa. The UK Pat says, I'm not going to do a fan cam, but I could possibly say hello if I've got time. You know what, UK Pat, if you want to do that, mate, you know where to find us. We'll be outside the fan zone after the game. So by all means, do say hello if you want to. Just as after the game there. Big up to JC. Hope you're well, my bro.
Yeah.
And obviously the UK Pat showing homage to his GOAT, JC.
That's definitely JC's burner account.
Well, no, I don't know about that now. I mean, I'm pretty sure JC's head isn't that big, Dan. Let's be real. If anyone's got a big head in the group, it's definitely me. I'm just saying. But obviously, look, we'll briefly touch on Liverpool, Dan, because that's a good talking point. If someone offered you a point before a ball had been kicked, you'd have bitten their hand off, because our record at Anfield has been awful. Admittedly, they're a quality side, so we can't sit here and complain. But hammering after hammering, bar a 4-3 game that made no sense to the logic of any human being, because it was like Roy Hodgson told our team to attack. Who swapped his medication? Because we know Roy was built to set us up defensively. And I like Roy. I'm not trying to put Roy down in the slightest here. But 4-3, what's going on? Do you know what I mean? But how did you feel about that? How did you feel about the game? Did you watch it, or did you get a chance to see it?
Yeah, no, I did. I watched it in a nice pub, a nice Irish pub in Glasgow, actually. So that was quite nice. Actually, funny enough, I was talking to a Celtic fan there about Edouard. But anyway, that's I thought it was good. You know what? I I was a bit skeptical, obviously, when Vieira put the team out, as I think everyone was. But credit to him, I thought he got it spot on. Sat back and then we scored on the breakaway. I thought, and it was absolutely excellent. I think he probably saw that Liverpool are vulnerable in defence. They always have an incredibly high line, so he probably thought, okay, if we can get it out to Eze, he can shift it around a bit and place a nice pass for Zaha to run into, like he did, and then he goes on and scores. So I think he did get it spot on. The only thing I would maybe say that I would have done is maybe brought on Elise a little bit earlier. Once they've gone down to 10 men, I kind of think, well, not that we should go for it, because obviously they're still an incredible team, even with 10 men.
Yeah.
But I do think maybe that was something he could have done. But like you say, a point at Anfield, you can't argue against that, can you?
No, because I spoke to a Liverpool fan today when I was at work, and he was saying, you should have gone for it. And I went, okay, but say we go for it, we don't convert the chances that we're creating, and we get punished with a last-minute winner.
Yeah,
that would be classic Palace. So I said, if you'd have offered me a point in those circumstances that we got, score first, concede a fantastic goal from Diaz, and Nunez has a moment of madness that you're looking at it and going, why? Like, I understand, like, Anderson rattled him, and we addressed that in the match reaction show. But yes, he's young. Yes, he'll make mistakes. But I'm just looking at it going, if that was our player, I'd be fuming. Because they're now going into their biggest game of the season this Monday night with no fit strikers. Because as far as I know, Firmino's still injured, as is Jota. And Nunez is suspended. So they may have to stick James Milner up front, for crying out loud. Do you know what I mean?
It's not a good time for them at the moment. I mean, they've not even won a game yet, but
well, they haven't lost either.
Sorry, I'm unbeaten, Bills. Yeah.
Yeah. So Jay says, do we think Elise can get 20 minutes tomorrow?
I'd like to see him because I think because the thing is with Villa, how they play, they're very, very exposed on the wings. So that's what I was saying earlier. By like, I can see an argument for Elise, because I'm not being funny. I can't remember which game it was, but I think it was the Everton game where Digne scored an own goal. If you can get it out to our right winger, he's going to get a run at Digne, who isn't the best defensive left back in the world anyway. And I think, I think Elise would tear him to shreds, to be honest. I think if he gets the ball, gets a run, he's going to run past him, he's going to put in a cross. All we need is someone in the middle to put it in. So that's where I can see the argument for Elise playing instead of Jordan Ayew.
Yeah, but because of Elise's injury, and bear in mind he hasn't had the best record in staying fit because he was injured when he signed. We had to wait for him to make his full debut, and even then, he was kind of touch and go. I have no issue with playing Ayew because I think some of the people are jumping on the Rak-Saki train a bit too quickly. Obviously, he did score for Charlton in his debut over there in the slums of SE7. But credit to him, you know what I'm saying? It's good to see him scoring, good to see him getting involved, even if it is a questionable football club. But he's out there on loan, so we got to support him. But JC here is saying, what's your thoughts on Darwin Nunez? I felt for him in a way because, like, he's young, he's made a very silly mistake, but he has to learn from it. Obviously, shouldn't get away with it. There was a definite headbutt. How any Liverpool fan was trying to say that wasn't a headbutt is beyond me. I'm looking at what? Like, if that's our player on your player, you're looking for a police inquisition, let alone an investigation.
Yeah, I mean, I saw Duncan Ferguson got sent to prison for something similar.
If United win, they go above United. Okay, JC. I know he meant Liverpool, but I just had to put this comment up there for the laugh. And Sean says, I love the
Relegation
confidence
6
from
points.
us because we've been through a lot and we deserve it, finishing top half and one domestic cup. I mean, I don't know about you, Dan, but I'd rather take the finishing in the top half this season and then going for a cup next season, unless we have a blessed run in the League Cup.
Sure means winning, then I would take that. But yeah, like you say, I think we need to bed ourselves as a top half team because I think there's a lot of competition in the Premier League at the moment in the mid table.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a lot of great, especially with Newcastle being bought. Then you got West Ham, you got Leicester, you've got
Brighton.
Well, I say yeah, exactly. Brighton. I didn't really want to mention them. But yeah, you got Brighton, you got Aston Villa.
Don't get it twisted. I feel like I need to go brush my teeth because saying that name just makes me feel dirty. But we've got to be real. They are in that bracket, even as much as we want to see them in the lower bracket.
100%. And then Wolves, whilst I didn't think that they would be doing very well this season, they've made some decent signings this season. So that's another team who you could argue is in that bracket as well.
No, but how have Morgan Gibbs White for 45 million? They're laughing.
Yeah, I don't. I don't. It's because it's Premier League tax and a young Premier League tax. It's English like if Czech Decore was playing in the Premier League and doing that in the Premier League, he'd have been sold for about 60, 70 mil probably. What he was doing at Lens.
Yeah, but English tax is real. That's why I'm mystified at that. But so let's quickly touch on the tactics because we know that Steven Gerrard was very successful in Rangers. He had a good run with Villa last season. Do you see them trying to play on the front foot, or do you think they will understand that they're away from home, Selhurst Park, not a friendly place to go to, regardless of whether it's a happy hunting ground or not? Because bear in mind, the second half of the Arsenal game, it looked like we were looking to do everything we could to get something from that. We just were lacking the finishing in that second half. So I think because it's going to be back at Selhurst Park, weekend kickoff, we don't have to worry about we're playing first. I'm not remotely going to say we're going to slap Villa because I got more respect for them than that. But we need to get a result in this game because we've got Man City next. Brighton are also on the horizon somewhere. I don't want to go into those games with only 1 point to show for it. So we need to be making the most of this game tomorrow, is what I would say.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that the thing is, playing on the front foot for them, it's going to sound really harsh, to be honest. But from the games I've seen, it seems like they do want to play on that front foot, but they just don't. They haven't found any rhythm by the seams of it. And even an Everton and a Bournemouth, once they had about obviously excluding the goalkeeper, once they had about 9 players behind the ball. So once we drop into our usual low block, Aston Villa just didn't really seem like they had anything particularly there, if that makes sense. Because I don't know, I just find their formation a bit disjointed, and it might change because Cash is injured and Coutinho's injured. I actually think this might be
I haven't seen any confirmation that he's out, but what we were told yesterday on the stream was he's out. But the UK Pat here says the man was pocketed for the duration of when he was on the pitch. I'm not gonna lie. I've seen a lot of people say that Joachim Andersen should be in prison. He's a criminal. He's this. He's that. I'm looking at it thinking he did what any defender would do that's worth their salt. He wound up a centre forward who couldn't hack mind games. And look, Nunez was an idiot to get involved with a headbutt, but Anderson did exactly what he should do: get in the striker's head.
I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, you'll watch the game tomorrow, and he'll probably be he'll probably be doing it again to another player, and one of Villa's defenders probably trying to do it to one of us.
Yeah, it's part of the game, mate. But Big up to Jamel007. He says, who do you think we will get before the end of the window? Personally, I've seen the links to Antoine Semenyo. Not overly convinced, but willing to be proven wrong. Just to pee off Watford fans, Ismail Sarr would be hilarious because I know for a fact they'd never live that down. But I don't know, because part of me wants to see us sign more players that are position appropriate as opposed to just signing players for the hell of it. But if we pee off Watford signing Will Hughes and Ismail Sarr in successive seasons, it's like, oh, that's cute. They've gone from being our wannabe rivals to our feeder club. We've arrived, people. We've arrived. Because I just laughed at that woman's reaction to when Will Hughes said we were a proper club. Did you see that? I think I put it in.
She like, oh, we've got to pay our energy bills and like stuff like that. And he was like,
yeah, like, what? What's this guy doing?
What's that got to do with? Oh yeah, that was it. She was saying like, oh, how dare you, Will Hughes, pose say that Palace are a proper football club. Don't you know that people paid money to see and we've got bills to pay and blah blah blah. It's like shut up.
No, but I'm just like, hey, somebody come get their granny. That's just
yeah.
No need for that. Now, obviously, with the way that things are right now with the cost of living crisis, she does make some valid points. By no means are we trying to make light of the valid points she made, but attacking a Premier League footballer, I don't know about that.
Just say it wasn't even relevant. It was just like, what are you doing?
Random as hell, wasn't it? But JC says that statistically he has a worse record than Gary Neville at Valencia before this season started. He's referring to Gerrard there. Hey, but listen. Lampard and Gerrard, the media's golden boys. Funny how their names weren't the first to be sacked when they got the job, but Vieira's was.
Well, yeah, says it all really, doesn't it?
You know what I mean? Agendas have to run out here.
And the thing is, like, the way Gerrard seems to want, like, for example, on Villa's right hand side, I don't think there's going to be too much issue in an attacking sense because they've got. Let's assume that Cash is playing. They got Cash running down the side, but he wants his midfielders to help out on the wings. But the problem is that John McGinn, who plays on that side, he's left-footed, so he always cuts in. So every time he sort of cuts in and wanders inside, Cash is basically left there on his own. So their right-hand side, I don't think is on it. And even on the left-hand side, whilst I think Ramsey supports Digne very well. And that's what I was saying earlier about how I think their left-hand side attacking-wise is very good. But he doesn't help defensively at all. It's like they got a midfield and it's all unbalanced. Their attack doesn't really seem like they really know what to do. It's not really clicking yet either. Whilst, like you say, like we're not gonna, like, there's no way we'll thump Villa. I don't think, and I don't think, and it will be a close game. But I mean, they're just not very threatening. I don't think at the moment.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
I mean, obviously, we know that Villa have spent well the last couple of windows to build a team that can keep them in the Premier League because they've got 100 million for Grealish, which they need to reinvest. But Sean says 1 or 2-0 win tomorrow. Mate, we keep a clean sheet at Selhurst Park. I may have to hit the bar a bit harder than I'm planning on, but we'll have to see. Jay says, I think we need another midfielder.
Yeah, I agree.
I would agree, but I don't know who you're looking for because the players I would have wanted to see come in would have been Aribo or O'Brien. I think they would have been perfect fits because they're not necessarily in that top bracket mold. If we can find someone across Europe who could be a bit of a hidden gem and Dougie does his thing, just saying, our sporting director actually knows his transfers. He's looking at you, Man United. But speaking of transfers, of course, we're not trying to step on JC's toes. He says, with you guys wanting transfer info, watch the weekly at 10 p.m. 100% people. Make sure you tune in.
They're always quality. Always.
Transfer weekly because JC and Ree, they put so much work into it. So big up to JC and Ree on that one. The UK Pat says Cash could be injured. Fingers crossed it's a small injury just for this Saturday, tomorrow. I think I got nipping there for a minute.
Yeah, I was going to say it's return of the Nip and Cron.
Ah, Nip and Cron was moving mad, bruv. I was just going to say, I hope the injury isn't too severe for the remainder of the season, but just for this weekend, let him have the weekend off. You know what I mean? Because he's a quality player, I can't lie.
Sure.
But Jordan says James Garner is the man for me to play in midfield. I don't know, because
United apparently looking to offload him, aren't they? Which I think is crazy.
Well, apparently they're 10 million for Wan-Bissaka. But look, not to spoil Transfer Weekly, because obviously JC's got a good few things to put up there. But that'd be an interesting premise to talk about transfers. Give JC a full panel on transfers. But we're going to quickly address... obviously, Dan, you would have seen we all put our predictions in the group chat. You were the first to put it in the Discord this week, as far as I saw. You moved quick, boy.
Hey, it's because I was traveling from one part of the Highlands to another. It takes like 3 hours to go like about 20 miles. So I had to do something in the car.
Okay, I see. Well, you got them in nice and early, and I wasn't far behind you. I was like, okay, no, I'm not getting quiet with no points this week. But people, this has been a bit of a tactical preview of Aston Villa. We're going to do more of these over the course of the season, depending on Dan's schedule. So, Dan, you know where to find me. If you want to do more of these, just give me a shout anytime. We'll chop it up and do another episode. Stay tuned for Transfer Weekly, people. And if you're at the game tomorrow, be sure to come and find us for a fan cam if you want to jump on. If you don't, again, don't worry, people. It's all love. It's all appreciated. But one thing left to say. That's up the Palace.
Eagles.
Eagles.